Williams for 13 years, and as a member of the Productivity Committee, I get the honor and pleasure of interviewing our broker, Mark von Kaenel.
Yay.
So when the very first time that I met Mark was when he was thinking of opening up Keller Williams here in Los Gatos. He had his previous brokerage, which was Von Kaenel Real Estate. And I just thought he was one of the nicest guys that I'd ever met. And so here we are 4 years later, and I still believe you're one of the nicest guys that I've ever met. You're very welcome. So I wanted everybody. Yeah, I don't know you that well. So I wanted to let everybody get an idea of who you are and what kind of things you think is important for them to become a top producer, to do the best production that they can. And then, you know, if you had any words of wisdom, so we're going to kind of go through that. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay, great. So what I understand is Mark has been in the business for 25 years, correct?
Approximately 25 years, yeah.
Right. And what made you decide you wanted to become a realtor?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. So I had started a business in Southern California, and my wife and I wanted to move up here and start our family. We didn't want to raise our family in SoCal. So I sold my business and came up here, had the benefit at a young age to have some residual income. So we started looking at everything. We looked at McDonald's franchises, I think, El Pollo Locos. My business I sold was in the automotive business, so we looked at car dealerships and all of that. And at the same time, we were looking at homes to buy. And we had gone through, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 agents. We looked at probably 30 homes, and we wanted to buy at this time, this will make you laugh, this was probably 92. We wanted to buy in Los Gatos, and our budget was around $300,000. And the problem was we didn't have any agent that was honest enough with us to sit us down and say, honey, you can't afford this, right? Because we were light and bright, and they kept showing us crap. So as I went through that process, and we actually were driving over to my mom's house in Aptos, we drove through Scotts Valley, and we saw a new home development. So we just pulled off the freeway, we went to the home development, and the guy said, well, didn't your agent show you these homes? Well, the agent never showed us the homes because they were only cooperating at 2%, not 3%. So we went ahead and negotiated our first deal and everything. And at the same time, my father-in-law owns a lot of commercial buildings, and Contemporary Realty was one of his tenants. And he's like, listen, why don't you talk to one of the guys, one of the founders there. I met with Greg Macris. And Greg had said, you know, the great thing with real estate is that, you know, when I sold my business, I had 40 employees. And I knew I didn't want to have any more employees. It really sucks. It really did. Anyway, that's another subject. Anyway, so he goes, listen, you can make as much money as you want in this business. You might have an assistant or something, and if you approach it as a business, it's a home run. So experiencing what I did with the agent, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together saying, wow, if somebody really applied a business mentality to this and really worked hard, they can make a lot of money in it. So that's what drove me into real estate. I wasn't looking for it. I mean, it found me.
Wow, that's so awesome. And then, so it sounds like from the very beginning, instead of just coming in as an individual agent, you approached it as a business.
I did. I mean, I hired my first assistant within the first 6 months that I got in the business. Well, actually, what happened was I wasn't even licensed. They partnered me up with one of their top producing agents, Debbie Townsend at the time, who was the #1 agent at Contempo, and you guys know I'm transparent, so I'll just say it. I was her bitch for a year. I was. I mean, I did her open houses, I washed her car, I was just a sponge, and that was it. And I was in a situation where I didn't have to really make a lot of money at all. So the first year I didn't make a dime in real estate. I just learned from her, because that's exactly what I want to do, is just be a sponge, and then apply that to my own business. So once I did get licensed, immediately I saw the benefit of, she had, I think, 4 different people on her team. And I saw at that time, nobody had teams, hardly anybody had assistants. And I was like, wow, if somebody really approaches this from the business mentality. So yeah, I hired on my first employee.
Wow, that's really great. So then the whole Keller Williams idea of starting your business as a business really appealed to you.
Well, I wasn't with Keller Williams at the time.
No, I know,
right?
but I mean, like, yeah. Right now, looking back at what your idea was when you first started, it makes sense why then you're so supportive of the education that's being provided here to help agents realize that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
Yes.
I remember Contempo when I was little. I was in 2nd grade, and there was this boy I had a crush on, and he was in the baseball team, and they wore orange. Did you guys have to wear, like, was that your color?
No, they actually changed, because originally they were part of Lamppost that was out of Almaden, and then Contempo, their colors were green.
Oh, okay.
When I was with them and stuff.
All right, so.
And then, of course, they sold out to NRT, like everybody else did.
Mm-hmm.
as well. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's kind of showing my age then. So,
That's all right.
so then, so you started with Contempo,
Right.
and you opened up Von Kaenel Real Estate in 2010. So who did you work with in between then?
Yeah, how did that experience?
Right, and then how did you
flow?
lead up to wanting to open up your own brokerage?
So, you know, the experience that I had during that time kind of leads me where I'm at today, I think with all of us, right? But you know, when I started at Contempo, if Contempo never sold, I'd still be with them today. Back then, I think many of you guys have heard this story before, but back then, real estate companies were independent family-owned companies. I mean, you had less than 40 agents at all of these offices, and around the entire valley, they're all independent companies. We had Seville Properties, we had Century 21 offices, and then of course the big boy came into town, NRT. NRT at that time owned Century 21. They were the biggest company in the world in real estate, and they started buying up all the independents. All of us got absorbed. So when Contempo was sold, none of us wanted to wear the gold jacket. We were afraid of the Century 21 stigma. So we were scrambling, trying to figure out where do we go. And I chose to go to Cornish and Carey in Los Gatos. And I can remember my broker at Contempo basically said, you know, they're on the auction block too, be careful. I went to a manager who's currently a manager in our area, and I asked her, I said, you know, listen, I hear that you guys are being sold. I want to have a home. I mean, at that time, you don't want to change hats. Even today, you don't want to go from company to company. So I wanted a place where I can call home. And she said, no, we're not being sold. Went down that road. We were over here on Highway 9. 2 months later, we all got the call for the mandatory meeting the next day, and we all knew what was going on. So Cornish and Carey was also sold to NRT, and at that time, they were changing the branding. I think at one time, their name was Century 21, Contempo Century 21, Seville Properties. I mean, you couldn't even fit the name on the sign. It was ridiculous. So immediately, at the time I was being recruited by Will Carrillo at Remax, and I jumped over to his company over in Los Gatos, getting that office set up and everything. And it was an incredible experience because by that time I had been in the business about 4 years. I recognized that I was at the point in my career where I was generating my own business. It wasn't the brokerage. To this day, a brokerage is never going to put deals in your lap, right? I mean, I think some of the big companies out there are saying, oh, we're going to lead gen for you. So that's all BS. It's up to you guys how you do it. So went to Remax, great experience because you have to do everything yourself. Everything yourself. You get great splits, but you have no resources whatsoever. And I did that through the .com days. One of my goals during that process was to be, they had a KW Top 100, so my goal was to be on the Top 100 list, and I made it. I was number 100, but I was on the list, man. It was like, oh, yeah, I did it. And that same year, I think I sold 72 homes, but I was killing myself. I was working 7 days a week. My second kid was on the way. My wife was ready to divorce my ass, and I was like, okay, there's got to be a change here. And I was at a golf tournament. To this day, I don't remember the guy that I golfed with, but he was about my age. He had worked at Alon Pinnell. I should say a competitor, but whatever. Alon Pinnell, that's cool. And he said, you know, he sold, I think, 23 homes that year, made the same amount of money as I did, and he's out golfing 3 days a week. I was like, all right, I'm doing something wrong. So I'm going to go to APR, a brand. I'm going to get that brand, man, because I'm going to start selling $3 million homes. I lasted a year at APR. And that was when I really had the eye-opening experience of what our industry had become. Because back in the day when I started at Contempo, it was all, you know, again, independent-friendly companies. We all worked together. From top down, the managing broker, he sold, and we were all in the trenches together. And it was all about the agents, and it was very agent-centric. And I had seen what our industry had become, this just huge corporation, where instead of making money off the community and giving back to the community and the neighborhood and stuff, it was more about making money off of agents. And how many agents can we cram into an office? How much money can we take out of their pocket? My final scenario with them was, I was at their top tier on the 85-15 split, and I had missed my quota, my GCI quota, by literally $20,000. It was a minimal amount. And all of a sudden I get my next check and it's 80-20. I was like, what the hell? Nobody called me at all or anything, and I tried to get a hold of the broker. Nobody responded back to me. And 2 weeks later, that's when I said, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's when I started Von Kaenel. It's a long way to get to where your question was.
That's exactly what
but that's when I started Von Kaenel Real Estate in 2000 with the concept of having like-minded, passionate individuals that we can just share ideas and grow the company. We went through some trial and errors and everything, and I don't wish owning a brokerage on my worst enemy. I just don't. But 12 years later, we were very successful. We were never a huge company, but at one point we were the #1 independent company in Santa Clara County with less than 30 agents, whatever it was. We were doing more than a lot of the big companies in the area. And then everybody started knocking on our door. And I was a die-hard independent renegade agent. I got to the point where I hated our industry. I hated what it represented, I hated what it became, and I hated what it did to individual agents, where it was just, we were only as good as our last sale. So, you know, I'm not the most spiritual person, but life kind of sends you messages sometimes. And while everybody's knocking on our door, we had Prudential, Coldwell Banker, all the NRT companies, and Keller Williams knocking on our door. You know, I was very opposed to selling out, so to speak, because I mean, our company